So, Gonky,
Yes.
you read it.
All right.
Helmet mounted displays. So the hang Hawaii Air National Guard is looks like they're going to be the first to get the helmet. So scroll down a little bit, Doug. So
Okay.
it's the Scorpion helmet, which they've used, and I didn't know this, Mover, but I didn't know the Air Force. Some F-16s had the Jehemics.
I didn't either. I thought only the Block 30 had the Scorpion. It says that they. Oh wait, yeah, that's right. Jehemics worn by the Block 40, 42. Oh, they're all getting replaced.
Right, that's what I read. So
yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, so basically, the Jehemics is mid-90s technology, and the Scorpion, which the A-10 uses it, they're looking at bringing it in the F-22. I didn't know this either, but they've used it in the C-130. The aggressor F-5s, the civilian guys use them as well. So, and the cool thing about this helmet, mounted device or cueing system, whatever, is it like scroll up a little bit more, Doug. Is you can kind of see like the plate comes down in front of your right eyes. Yeah, there it is. So what that means is you can have night vision goggles and your helmet. So like the Jehemics that the Navy uses, you either have your helmet mounted, cueing system, or you have your goggles, right? You couldn't have both just because of the way it was. So it looks like they're going to integrate this, or going to try to integrate this with the F-22 with the Hawaii Air National Guard. And since Mover, I've heard you talk about it, and I'd be interested to hear you talk about ammo since you flew the Raptor as well. But like, I think Mover, it was you that was saying the Guard usually has like the money, the funding, the push to get these things that like ammo. I know you would really have liked to have seen the helmet in the Raptor to get these modifications into weapon systems, and then hopefully the active duty gets it too through just sheer numbers and whatnot. But I from reading this article, that Scorpion design I think is awesome. I think it'd be and it's color, man. Like the the helmet that we had in the Hornet wasn't color. The Scorpion is, which is phenomenal if you're trying to consolidate all your information into one display, because colors can mean things. So yeah, Mover. As far as the Guard goes, why is it, dude, that it's the Guard that can make it happen and not big giant active duty Air Force? Why is it the Guard has to pay?
Glad you ask. A lot of times it is called National Guard and Reserve Equipment Appropriations in GRIA. In 1981, Congress created a separate equipment appropriation for reserve components from the president's budget submission titled Dedicated Procurement Program, which is now known as INGRIA. So that gives them a different pot of money that they can do projects with. And a lot of times they use that to develop stuff for at least that's what I think. I think because when I was in the F-16, we had the AATC in Tucson, and they would do all the development tests, software writing, and all that stuff, or the testing of the software that was being written specifically for the Block 30, which was under SCU, the software compatibility upgrade or whatever, component compatibility, whatever, versus MMC jets that active duty had. So different pots of money and different procurement regulations because they're Guard and allows them to get this stuff. It is interesting to me that the Scorpion is being used by that because the A-10 had it. They used to call it, hog eye, pig eye, whatever. Anybody that uses DCS, that's what you're using. Like you talked about, Gonky, the NVGs are compatible with it. So that's really cool. It's also how you flew with it, didn't you, Gonky?
The old helmet, yeah. I've only got a handful of flights in it.
So that's the one where they have to put the magnet thing so it can track your head.
Yeah, you have to sit. You when you first get in the airplane, you cage it.
Well, so the Scorpion doesn't need that because it maps the cockpit. So it has a map of the cockpit and has a little gyro inside, and it knows where it is. So it doesn't need that. So it can be plug and play a lot easier and once they have a map of that cockpit, they can use it. It's like a VR headset that, knows where it is because it knows where it isn't.
When you talk about the money, is that federal or is that state or is it both?
It's federal money. It's a federal pot of money for these projects and stuff. Like when we were talking, even at 204, right? When you're talking about getting certain upgrades for like the Hornet, because it was reserve, there was, hey, if we can get the INGRIA money to do this, we can do it outside of the active duty procurement cycles. Ammo, you back?
Yeah.
So
Thank
What do you
thanks.
think about a helmet?
what's your take, man?
All right. So obviously, when I was in the Raptor, we didn't have anything for a helmet, and then in the Typhoon, I wore the helmet-mounted queuing system that they had with that. And yeah, having both to compare, yeah, I would say the Raptor definitely needs a helmet, especially to take full advantage of the AIM 9X. And also something that stood out to me in the Typhoon was just the enhanced safety of flight, because especially if you're in a 4-ship or you're with a brand new wingman who's calling blind every 6 to 9 seconds, you want to be able to look around and be able to quickly gain visual of your element mates. So in the Typhoon, that was pretty easy. You just look around, you see the other members of the 4-ship. In the Raptor, now the Raptor, depending on what phase of employment, you might be in visual range, you might not be in visual range. And so, but a lot of times during admin phases, that would be really nice to have the helmet to be able to just look around and see friendly forces in addition to queuing the 9X. So this is good news that finally the hang is going to start with the Striker helmet, and hopefully, like you said, Gonky, hopefully this can get fielded throughout the entire MDS.
Is this something as a community, like the Raptor guys, I mean, and gals, is it something that you guys are like, dude, why don't we have helmet?
Yeah, I think we're way overdue for it. And I mean, if nothing's changed since I last flew the jet, when they're still wearing the same helmets that they flew T6s and T38s in.
Yeah.
So
that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that helmet compared to Jahemix is not that much heavier. Like I think it's lighter than Jahemix is, so that helps for your neck.
Yep.
Because Jahemix is pretty heavy.
Ammo, when they designed the Raptor, they probably designed it with AIM 9X in mind. That's my assumption. I guess where I'm going with this is,
when did they start developing the 9X?
No, dude, the 80s? No way. When they developed the Raptor, no, they didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, I guess where I was going with this is,
oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
well, I guess where I'm going with this is the Super Hornet also developed in the 90s.
No, 80s.
80s. Okay. Well, with the Super Hornet, with the ESA specifically, I remember that airplane, like if you didn't, the ACM modes, like the BVR stuff with the ESA was phenomenal, but the ACM modes without the helmet were worse than in the mech radar, because they had designed like ASA helmet 9X, they like when they conceived the weapons system as a whole, that was supposed to be used like that. And in the RAG, we didn't use the helmet mounted queuing system. And I remember when I first started flying the AESA, I'm like, this thing's phenomenal BVR, but it's not good within visual range. And so that's kind of what I was curious about. Is it going to enhance, do you think, the Raptors within visual range capabilities, other than you being able to look around and target stuff, as far as the how well the aircraft systems work, how as far as getting locks and stuff like that?
Yeah, no, great question. Obviously the Raptor and its APG 77, it's got ACM modes as well with that. I don't know how Striker is supposed to interact with the ACM modes there, so can't really give you like any kind of educated answer on that.
And we don't want to go to jail.
We don't want to go to jail.
We don't want to do that either.
Gonky.
Yes. And so, funny, my stream didn't get cut off or go inverted when I started talking about that part there.
Now the Chinese would like you.
It gets real clear.
Please continue.
Yeah. For someone like me who sucks at BFM, the Striker combined with 9X, now I can just fly lag BFM and really just fly really poor BFM and just look up and cue the 9X and box 2 and it's over. So
I fought the Raptor as an IP in the Legacy Hornet, and we didn't have the helmet, but I've talked to my buddies in the Super Hornet with helmet who fought the Raptor, and they obviously, the Raptor is a better BFM airplane, but they said with AOA capability that the Hornet has, which is pretty darn good for a non-thrust vectoring airplane, combined with 9X in the helmet, like it really gave the Raptor problems. And I guess my question for you, because I've heard from a couple other Raptor pilots regarding the thrust vectoring, were you the type that thought the thrust vectoring was really valuable or would you rather have the extra gas? I've been told that if it didn't have thrust vectoring, you get another 500 pounds of gas. Would you rather have the fixed nozzles and a helmet, or, you know what I'm saying, thrust vectoring without it in a BFM scenario? In a BFM scenario,
I think I would say fixed nozzles in the helmet.
Yeah. Which to me, sorry, go ahead.
No, well, I was going to say what the thrust vectoring gives you is an awesome air show, but you know, in the speed regimes that you'd be using the thrust vectoring, you know, you're going pretty slow as it is. So, you know, I kind of would want that energy for BFM options, and I kind of want a helmet for options when I do bad BFM, and I can look across the circle and do you know, save my pink body before I lose 3-9 advantage.
Yeah, that's kind of the consensus, because I've asked that question to other Raptor pilots, and they were they basically kind of said the same thing. So I mean, if you had the helmet and the 9X, it might bridge that gap. Now for guns only, obviously you want thrust vectoring, but
sure,
but the helmet 9X might bridge that gap of no thrust vectoring to some capacity. But yeah, the ammo, I was just curious what your take on it was, and it's nice to see that Raptor now is making some headway.
Absolutely, yeah. Don't get me wrong. Like if I'm losing really bad in BFM, which I'm used to, and I need to do something last ditch to give the bandit a problem to solve that they may have never seen before, that thrust vectoring can really come in handy in flat plating the jet or doing some post stall maneuver that is going to give a problem for the bandit to solve that they may not know how to follow that maneuver, and I may be able to briefly gain a very quick Wes to get the upper hand. But other than that, yeah, you want to still fly back to basics, good fundamental BFM in the Raptor, whether you're fighting 1 circle, 2 circle, or whichever fight you select.
Right.
Yeah.
And Mover, remember we talked about it. It's been a couple months, but remember the Air Force long-term plan? They really didn't include the Raptor. So I wonder, maybe that's changed now.
No, they want to get rid of the early blocks. Was it the block 20s?
Was that it?
Yeah, they still have a plan for the later blocks for a long time because they don't have a replacement.
Okay.
At one point, you're right. I mean, at one point they were going to get rid of it. Like they had it like 2036 or 38 or something, but I think the latest is the early blocks they want to divest from. So
I think that'd be a terrible idea, but yes, continue.
I didn't think it was a good idea because then so the block 20s are your entire B course fleet, right? And so the argument was, well, they're old, they are not up to the latest frontline standard, and so there's a steep learning curve that the B course graduate has to go through in MQT to get up to the frontline standard. But so you get rid of the 20 or 30 or so block 20s, and where are you going to have jets to train in? You got to pull that from the front line, and the front line's already desperately short of Raptors. And so I just didn't think it was a good idea. I think it's worth putting the MQT student through a steeper learning curve. It seems like they all get through it, you know, so yeah, suck it up, go to the sim more and learn the differences is my opinion. Yeah.